Good morning, dear from two students, and welcome to our online platform of learning. Today, we shall continue with Module 2, entitled Man and Space Occupation. I welcome all of you on board for another edition. Concerning our lessons of today, it is entitled Housing Styles and Building Materials of Rural Areas. And secondly, we have attractive aspects of rural areas. From this topic, you can start thinking of the housing styles and the materials that people in rural areas use in order to build their houses. And secondly, what exists in the rural areas that attracts people into these areas. As plan of our presentation, we have our introduction, and under our introduction we shall revisit settlement forms which we treated in our last class. We have our lesson objectives which we are expected to attain before this lesson comes to an end. Under our presentation, we have the housing styles and building materials in rural areas, followed by attractive aspects of rural areas. And in our conclusion, I have an activity which I am going to give you to do to determine whether you understood our lesson or not. So good morning once more, my dear Form 2 students, and welcome on board. You know, housing styles and building materials is what many people desire to use. People have different choices, and therefore for a choice to actually manifest, they need building materials. So, by the end of this lesson, you are expected first to identify the housing styles of the rural areas. Secondly, you are expected to identify the building materials used for the construction of houses in the rural areas. And finally, I expect you to state some attractive aspects of rural areas. What attracts people in the rural areas? So in our last lesson, we treated settlement forms and we identified a number of forms which I am going to present here. Once I present it, you should be able to tell me the settlement form. So, who can tell me the settlement form? Where houses are built on both sides of the road or the river or any communication means. Okay, that's good, Genius. You just set a linear form. That's good. Look at this other form. Where houses or a settlement is separated by a natural feature. Okay? Oh, that's good. This is actually a double settlement form. That's good, Maela. Look at this other form. Where houses are close to a market or a church. Wow, that's good. Shokoti. It is an open space settlement form. And lastly, what type of settlement is this? A form of settlement. Okay, that is good. Maela, it is. What did you say again? Okay, an isolated or a loose-knit settlement form, meaning that our lesson was understood. So with that, we can continue. Let's now look at the presentation, and we can say that housing styles and building materials. That's what we are going to treat. The housing styles depend on the materials that is used, and the materials here are classified into traditional materials and modern materials. So let's now look at the traditional materials which the people in the rural areas use in order to build their houses. We have first of all the sun-dried bricks. Many of us must have seen this before. It's called the sun-dried bricks, which consists of mud that is mixed with soil and water. We have the mud itself, which is used in building of houses. We have the rope. Some people do use ropes to build their houses. We have bamboos and sticks. People use bamboos and sticks in order to build their houses. We also have stones. And finally, we have grass and thatches. All these we are going to see in the images that I am going to present to you. Look at the traditional materials. This is what I called the sun-dried bricks. And this sun-dried bricks is used to build houses. As you can see, this is the soil that is mixed with water, and when it becomes dry, it is so strong that it can now be used to build houses. We continue. This is the mud house and the bamboo house. And under the mud house, as you can see here, the mud is stuck in between the blocks or the bricks, which makes it solid, thereby making it possible for construction. And here we have the bamboos. Bamboos have actually been used in order to construct the house. And if you look at the roof of this house, it is actually made of grass or thatch, and that is what is called a thatch house. Now let's look at the grass house. The house is constructed purely with grass, and therefore it is a material that is found mostly in the rural areas. And here we have the stone house. As you can see, the stones have been used to construct this house. We also have the thatch house, and here as you can see, it is the vegetation that is used in covering the roof. This is actually what is known as a thatch house. Let's now look at the modern materials. The modern materials that are used in building houses in the rural areas include cement, we have corrugated iron sheets, we have iron rods, and we have plywood. This is actually a new situation that is taking place in the rural areas. And so therefore, let's look at the modern materials that are used. Here we have the cement blocks. Here we have this corrugated iron sheets or the zinc. And here we have the plywood, which has been used for construction of houses in rural areas. Now let's look at the attractive aspects. Many people are attracted into the rural areas. Let's look at those things that attract people into the rural areas. And the very first thing that attracts people there is the calm and fresh environment. That's why many people, when they are going on retirement, they prefer to go into the rural areas because it is calm and the environment is fresh. Talk about low rate of pollution. Rural areas are actually less polluted because we have few industries which are found in rural areas. So many people prefer there because it is less polluted. We talk about low levels of congestion. In the rural areas, we have virtually very few people who live there, and taxis are few, and cars are also few, making congestion to be very is making congestion to be absent, and so many people prefer the rural areas. We have low risk of road accidents. Since the population is low and there are very few cars, it becomes very easy not to see the occurrence of accidents. Let's talk about availability of land for agriculture, and this is as a result of the few population that exist in the rural areas. Cultural festivals. In rural areas, there are cultural festivals. That means that during certain periods of the year, people come together and improve on their culture by encouraging their dances and many others. We can talk about the Lela dance in Bali. We can talk about the Ngonso in Soland. We can talk about the Ngondo in the Sawaland and many others. All these cultural festivals attract people in these places. So dear my dears from two students, we have come to the end of our lesson. And for me to be able to determine whether you understood the lesson, I want you to answer the following questions. First, identify the modern materials and the traditional materials used for building houses in rural areas. Secondly, state 5 reasons why some people prefer to stay in rural areas than in urban areas. I hope you understood the lesson. Make sure that you answer the questions. Make sure that you watch the video, and after watching the video, drop a comment to make me to understand that you understood the lesson. Thank you very much. Keep on staying safe. Stay at home. Wash your hands. Sanitize them so that you will not get in contact with coronavirus. God bless you.